Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for taking the time to be here today and share with us your expertise. I'm glad that our Transportation Infrastructure Committee kicked off our first hearing on the FAA reauthorization with a hearing concerned and centered around safety. And I'm glad that we're doing the same thing with PHMSA today with the reauthorization, a hearing on safety. Pipelines are the lifeblood of our economy. They help put gas in our vehicles, they heat our homes, they power our factories and our businesses, and they drive exports that lift our economy and create jobs right here at home. They're an integral part of the conversion or conversation as we discuss emerging technologies like hydrogen and carbon capture as well. At the heart of all these applications is safety. Without pipeline safety, Americans won't have gas, heat, power, or exports that we depend on to drive our economy on a daily basis. That's why we have agencies like PHMSA, the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, which is entrusted with this critical mission of safety. But I'm concerned because it seems like there's a potential movement to deviate from that mission of safety. We heard earlier today about a number of pipeline issues that have happened, safety issues across our country, and it seems like we may have a deviation from that mission of safety. Mr. Brown, you recently said, and I quote, "One thing we're trying to brand is as a climate agency." I'd like you to clarify that comment because Congress created PHMSA to be a safety agency, not a climate agency, full stop. So if you could, for the record, Mr. Brown, please clarify, is PHMSA's top and sole priority safety?
Yes, it is. It is the top priority, but it is inextricably linked to environmental impacts. And that is in our mission statement, and it is in the 2020 Pipes Act for us to minimize methane emissions. Methane being 80 times the impact of carbon dioxide and global warming. When you minimize methane emissions, you're mitigating climate change. Now, you can talk about it or you can not talk about it. I choose to talk about it, but when you minimize methane emissions, and by the way, most of the companies that Mr. Black represents, Mr. Grubb, his company, they talk about what they're doing to mitigate climate change. It's inextricably linked to safety, and so to just not talk about it, I mean, it's up to folks who want to talk about it. I choose to talk about it. I think it's good for recruiting. It happens to be accurate, and we're acknowledging the reality that climate change exists, and we have to consider ways to mitigate it.
Do you think that some of the pipeline safety issues we've had have happened because maybe we've taken our eye off the ball of safety and we're focused more on climate change, it seems, than we are on safety, which is the responsibility of your agency?
There's 600 people completely dedicated to safety. You couldn't convince them not to be focused on safety. First thing I did was, what are the rulemakings that will have the biggest safety impact at the agency? And that's what we're focused on.
Talk to me about how your agency speaks to recruits. I mean, do you tell your recruits that you're a climate agency that's concerned about safety?
I mean, as far as what we recruit, we post our jobs. I don't think most of them mention climate change, but through our social media, through hearings like this, we're trying to note, hey, if you want to make a difference, and when you talk to people under the age of 30, 35, they really care about making a difference in the world and leaving something better for the next generation. It's different than what people in the 35 to 45 care about or the 55 to 65. We're trying to, and we want to recruit from the biggest pool of people that we possibly can to get the best engineers, best safety experts, and if that can provide a little bit of difference and get us a little bit more folks to address the chairman's comments from earlier of how to recruit people, great.
How would you rate the considerations in hiring when you're considering between safety considerations in hiring versus climate considerations in hiring?
Well, for the vast majority of our positions, safety is integral. We have a few positions. We started off with less than one position at an agency of 600 people who has in its mission statement environmental impacts. We had less than one focused on National Environmental Policy Act implementation with respect to our agency. We now have three and change. One person who's straight out of college, right? I mean, we've not revamped our agency of 600 people with 3 people. We just now are able to carry out the laws that you've given us to carry out, which include environmental impacts.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.